Okay. This is wait for it. And now let's look at the same chart, but with my indicators on it. And I don't typically like all the noise that this one has, but there is actually something very valuable about it. At first, I was pretty disgusted by the dots. I wanted to turn them off, but then I started looking a little bit closer, and I was like, wait a sec. I think there's something here that I can use. Actually, it's pretty useful. And so just so you know, I left all the support and everything that was written, so you can familiarize yourself with the same thing that we were looking at before. And what's new is you have these lines of these purple lines here. You have these teal lines here, there, and you have these dots at the highs and lows of your wicks of these bars. Excuse me. And then you also have these boxes around certain candles, right? All right, and so now I'm gonna bring that all into focus on how this helps, I guess. So if I scroll back here, I get rid of this line. And if you look at price action when it's going here and it hits this high, you start to see that your red dots really aren't going any higher, right? They're stagnating, right? So it's a good sign that you're hitting a resistance level here. And then you have your green dots below, and they're kind of holding a level as well. I mean, there is this one that goes deeper here and immediately goes up from there. But even that green dot, when you look at this green dot in comparison to this green dot, here, you can surmise that we're not dipping into this area. So what is this? This is the same thing as this over here. It's consolidation or reaccumulation, right? And so, if we're in reaccumulation here, then look at these, the purple lines. What are the purple lines? The purple lines are a higher times frames threshold level where the liquidity lies. It's a level that hasn't been broken, that no candle is wicked through yet to grab the liquidity from. And so, I think in this situation, this is an hour, and our hour bar and or candle chart, whatever's liquidity line from back here, from further back. And here's a new one that hasn't been broken, and here's another one that hasn't been broken. And they disappear or they stop moving once you break them, right? And so when you look to left here, which I think we're just so far back you're not seeing these, but you would have liquidity lines over here. I think I have it set to 10, but you would see liquidity lines being drawn from here, stretching out too. So you would have these levels of liquidity going here like this, if I had it set to more. So this is your potential area of where price can drop down into. But because price is holding this area right here, you can see like this is your only box that dips into this low like this. And then once it gets up here, after this box, it never really comes back and retests the low of this box right here. And so we'll leave this arrow here as that level. Like you can see that it never really comes back to this level. Get rid of that. And this is your lowest attempt right here to come back into this level. Now, what are the boxes? The boxes are your break to the upside and to the downside with the same consecutive colored bar or candles that are closing lower than the previous bar closed. And so these are what are called pain boxes, right? Because what is a pain box? When you have people that are trying to go long here and it goes up and grabs the liquidity and then turns around and closes red, it's trapping those buyers that tried to go long here. It's trapping them into this box, right? and basically trying to hit their stop loss. Because like if you enter a trade here, try to go long, where are you putting your stop? Potentially here, potentially here, and here, and probably here, and maybe even here if you really, really, want to risk all that, or even here and even here, right? So these are all your areas of where liquidity is, where your stops are sitting, that you're willing to risk for this potential trade to go up. And so when you see this big box here, it comes down and it basically breaks the liquidity, or almost breaks the liquidity of this guy right here, but does break the liquidity of these two right here. So it gets those stops, and this is the outcome, is it shoots up and it breaks this high of this box, but it closes back inside the box. And so because it closed back inside the box after it already grabbed this liquidity, this was a fail. And so then it drops down and is continuously like churning buyers into sellers and sellers into buyers and so forth, until it's able to get enough momentum to push down further to grab more liquidity. And so that's what this is, a churning. So this is a mess. You don't want to get stuck in this right here, because it's gonna hit your stop losses over and over again. You probably lose 7 times in this mess right here before you actually start to see profits. And you're so desperate by then that you might even break even. If you're lucky, you might only make a portion of what you lost. You could be $1,600 in the hole by the time you get over here and it breaks out, and then you just barely break even, or just make half your money back or whatever. So just keep that in mind when you're trading. But anyways, on to the focus of this. When you get the purple line up here, that means that there's a liquidity here that hasn't been broken. And when you get double, that usually becomes pretty interesting when they're so tight together like this. This ended up getting triple. And it's not breaking the low down here. So when I say you see double up here, but you're also holding a level, and you're not breaking, and dipping into where this liquidity is down here, this becomes more and more potentially profitable, because again, what do we have? We don't have a break of structure down here. So what are we? We're in consolidation. What kind of consolidation? We're in accumulation, right? A bullish consolidation, right? Or accumulation, reaccumulation. And we did get a break of structure to this guy here, but it immediately matched it with the green candle back to the high of this candle, which basically negates this, just like I said in the last video. That's a doji basically. And then you have this green candle here showing you the potential of the upside here, right? And so now we have our liquidity lines here. And so let's just measure how far it is once it gets into this area. I don't know if we go further back, because it technically is to this area here. And then we go to here. And there you go. There's 35. This would be 34. And then 34 closes basically above this line, or right at it, pushing up against it. And it's just like the other situation. Our lines matched up together. Oops. They smashed together here, and then they spread apart. And they don't really ever get back together because it expands so much right here. So it's not as clean as the other one was, but you could do your 9-bar test and retest, or you can say, well, this is just like the other move there without the 9-bar, because it's smashing up into the high. It didn't suck back like this. This basically would have been your 9-bar over there, or your end of your 34 would have ended like in this area here, and then it did a test, retest, and then pushed up into the high of this consolidation basically. And so you can see that this pushed into this high here, and then the next bar closed above that and broke that liquidity level. So, and then you also have your double green bars here, and here's your double green bars here, right? So that's another clue that you're just 9 bars ahead than you were over there. So it's just a more aggressive reaccumulation right here, because it's less bars. I mean, technically it's all of 34 bars, which is exactly what it should be for reaccumulation. But the other one took 9 more bars in order to set up. and this one just happened to do it in exactly 34 and then take off. Now you do still have all this sideways price action right here, which you can save yourself from, you know. And so now let's look at the potential, or like what these indicators are showing us. One, we have liquidity being shown in the purple here that's over an hour long. It's hour time frame liquidity highs here. And so we've got two really close together, and we have three that are pretty close together, but two that are very close together right here, and we're cracking them right here. And that's showing you that, you know, we're finishing our reaccumulation and going into like a profit run kind of situation where our price is going to start expanding. And if you notice, it doesn't fully go into full profit mode until it gets over here, but you can see that it does break out of this consolidation area right here. This breaks out of this consolidation area and starts to expand. It's the same kind of price action you see here, but it's expanding as it's going into this price action, or this area right here. It's expanding and trying to coil up or build up more compression to shoot out of this area and grab this liquidity again, right? It's building liquidity as it doesn't come back into this area right here, and then taps down into it. And so if you think of this 34 right here as your liquidity line, where your liquidity lies for short grabs to continue a bullish move, then you can look and see, okay, well, there's a dip right there, and that shot us up here, which started our high of our consolidation area, right? And then here's a tap here that shot us up, not as high. I mean, yeah, I mean, you did hit it over here. You showed the potential, you went higher here, but it still sucked back down, and then pushed down again for the third time here, right? And so move 1, 2, 3, and we're out of here. And so then what is going on over here? 4. That's your fourth one there. And so it consolidates here and then builds up that liquidity area, right? And then taps into it, and then boom, uses that to explode outwards. And so it kind of shows really where your support in real time is flowing for those short grabs to stay in a profit run. And so that's another way you can use this to find your trade. But also, I want to look at the pane boxes here and the dots. So not only do we have these liquidity lines showing right here that we need to break, but you also are getting these dots, right? I only have it set up for the hour. I have multiple time frames that I can show the dots on. For right now, it's showing a 4-hour and hour time frame. And so what these dots are showing you is that, you know, when you look back at the start of your run here, you can see that this was your deepest push down. This is your basically liquidity grab, showing you that potential liquidity grab there. And then this is the retest, which didn't go as far, but you can also compare that to the 34, you know, and it's under 34. So your support is moving upwards here. And so you're getting the same kind of grab as you would here, and here as well. And so then you see no red dots down here, right? And so all the dots mean is that it broke the level of the candle before it. It's low or it's high. Green means it broke the low. High means it broke the high. So potential liquidity grabs there. And so you can see like lots of resistance here, and then all of a sudden it stops. The resistance disappears, and you only get like one right here, right? But then you see lots of breaking here, but still not breaking this low over here. So this is the definition of what consolidation is, and without a break of structure, what reaccumulation is because we have a high that was made, a push down into the low that doesn't break structure, that continuously pushes into it, that's still not breaking the first low, and still holding into this area. And then we have a break of liquidity line here and here as we go up, with no more breaks to the low. So I guess the important thing to catch or to get from this is when I have breaking to the low, right, grabbing liquidity, I'm getting breaks to the high, right? Break to the low, I'm getting a break to the high, break to the low, break to the low, and then I'm getting a break to the high, right? It's not going as high as this was over here yet, right? But I'm getting those breaks. Now, when I get a break to the high, am I getting a break to the low? Not for about 4 candles, right? It takes a lot longer to get those breaks to the low. And the only reason they're getting the breaks to the low is because it's got these candles that didn't break to the high or low in between, right? And so it breaks those, which are easy grabs. It still didn't break that one until it got over here and broke it here. And it didn't break this one until it broke it over here. Breaks to the high, am I getting breaks to the low? Again, not for 4 candles. And then I get an immediate break to the high, right? So the immediate reaction that I'm getting from my breaks to my lows is that I'm getting a break to the high following it within 1 to 2 candles. My follow-up from my breaks to the highs is that within 4 candles, I'm getting a break to the low as I get further along into this, right? So it's taking a lot longer. The interest level is waning to the downside because it takes so much longer for it to get to this area to grab liquidity. And when I do hit it, I immediately get a break to the high, right here. Whereas this one took 2 candles to get to a break to the high. This one only took 1 candle to get to the break to the high. So what is that telling me? It's telling me that I'm pretty close now that it's spread out, and then now that it's come back together, like it's aggressive, semi-aggressive, and then immediate, right? And then the next candle is where all my lines converge, and I've got a green candle, and I'm pushing right up into the threshold of my last green candle of my first push up, right? The thing that started the consolidation run, which is my push up until it turned into a red candle, right? So that's right here. And so I'm pushing right into that on this guy here. And then the next candle, I'm breaking a liquidity level. And then the next candle, I'm breaking the next 2 liquidity levels, right? And so that's one way you can use these your high and low breaks per candle on an hourly time frame to help you on like a 15-minute time frame to find your trades, as you can see when it's getting ready to go. Like when is the time between trades shorting, right? Or the time between opportunities is shorting. And also you got these pain candles. So a pain candle is when again, when you have these breaks to the high to the low, that's what it's showing is the areas where it's grabbing buyers and dragging them into this low, into this consolidation, and grabbing buyers, sellers, whatever, and dragging them into this consolidation. So grabbing bears who are trying to short here back into this mix, grabbing bulls who want to long here back into the mix, right? It's torturing these people. So I like to see where the pain candles are, because when you get pain candles that are going sideways like this, then I look for the manipulation to one side and to the other, and I can get a gauge on where it's going to go. So this manipulation to the downside broke this minor level right here, barely, but it broke it. This moved back to the upside again. So this is just to back up here, test, retest, right? So, or test, retest, test, retest, right? And so you can see where my mind is. I've got a test to the upside here. I've got a break of these 2 sideways pain boxes here. And then I have a move to the upside to try to break the high here, and it fails. So I know price is coming down from here. So I could theoretically short it from here. It wouldn't be the prettiest trade, but you could short it here. And I mean, I'm sure you would make decent money if you did. And so 4.9, so 49 ticks, so plenty of trade there. But you would have plenty of pullback on it. It would keep coming back to your entry. So as long as your stop's above this wick right here, you're fine. We know it's not going to go past your high there. So I mean, you could even put it back here, but I don't know if you want to risk all that for that little bit of a trade. But anyways, it pushes into this area, and then you've got these 4 succession boom, 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 deeper lows here, and then this candle right here negates this red candle right next to it, and that basically tells you, you know, it's stopping. There's no green dot underneath it. There's no red dot. It just negates this candle. It's almost like an orb candle, and then this green candle closes above it right here, breaks this high, but sucks back down underneath this low right here. So pre-telling that there's going to be a bullish move here. So then once that happens, you have a test, a retest, or a test down, and then a retest down right here. Boom, pushes down, fails to get past the low of this candle, pushes up, shows that it can close above these candles right here to the left, right? Shows that it can push above these candles right here, this candle, then a retest to the downside to see if it can break the low of these candles. It closes down here, but it can't actually it gaps down right here. But it can't close below these candles here, and then uses a gap down to grab more liquidity right here on this minor move, and then boom, pushes up and closes above all these candles right here. And so that's your first major sign that you're in a bullish trend because of, you know, how it's structured up. And you can see that you only broke the lows here, and immediately response to the dot there. You had this small pain candle here that closed down, and then when it retests to the upside, you saw that the potential was way above the box here, but still closed inside here. So then you had that test retest action, boom, right here. Because of that, that was your cue that this was going to set up right here for the test retest to get you out of here. And so that's why your action to move out of this area happens so much faster, right? And so then you get more pain boxes here as it goes up. You see it closes above here, so then you see a retest to the high of this pain box, and you see that it takes off from there as well. Wick touching into the high here, but body stays, you know, closes up here above this candle. So we know it's going up, even though it doesn't go that high. We know it's going up from here, so it does go up a little bit and then runs out of energy right here. You see 2 double indecision candles there, flat tops. It dumps down. You get another pain box right here that's higher than this one here, and you can kind of look at it at an angle like this, as if they were side by side. So what happens when you get side by side pain boxes? You wait for a push in one direction and a push in the other direction, and then you gauge the response, right? So then I get a response. I get a push down right here, which fails to break this structure here altogether, and a push back up, which breaks back into this, you know, this line here or whatever, but also breaks the high of these candles here, right? And even closes above these candles here, right? But is not able to hold it, right? More potential to the downside on this candle. So it throws up a wick here to see how high it can go, and then throws a wick down here to see how low it can go, and decides that it doesn't have enough energy to go anywhere. So then it pushes down to grab the final liquidity, which breaks the low of these candles over here, right? But not the low of this guy right here. Pushes back out and explodes above these candles here. And then again, you got your green dots making new lows, but again, this low is still not as low as this guy to the left. And then makes your first red dot, which shows you that you are breaking the high here. And so your potential is to the upside, and it immediately just launches from there. And so that's another way that you can use this. Like, you can use the high of this last pain box right here, and you can just say, okay, well, price is going to manipulate one side, close outside of it, come back in, and then close to the other side, right? It's going to test, retest, and then whichever way it closes past the wicks of these test and retest, right? Test, retest, doesn't close past the test on the low side, but does close past the test on the high side, right? Boom, right here. Well, if you're cautious and patient, then that is your entry. This is your guy. You get in here. And so you just let the chart tell you where you should be getting in, you know? And then this takes you into the much bigger trade right there. But so just wanting to show you that there are numerous ways of looking at the market and engaging. So like this is higher than this one here, but you can still look at it as like if it's, you know, I don't know, something like it's going to push under and back up, and you know what its potential is from there. Does it break this level? Yeah, it breaks the level here. And then does it push up and stay above this level here? I mean, if you're looking at an angle, no, it doesn't. So potentially why it runs out of steam here, because it never gets back up to there. And does close underneath this candle here, right? But doesn't close above this candle here. So that's why it stopped here and ended up pushing down right here, you know, and then it breaks this level here and then ends up closing back into this level of this threshold that it created for liquidity. Ended up closing back above that, and then just dips back in here to grab more liquidity and closes back above it again. So you can see the push up with an immediate response down. And I already explained how this would work, why it would fail right here, but you can see that the dots didn't go higher here. You know, it didn't follow with another one going up higher. It ended up closing lower here instead, right? So both of them down here, which means that most likely it's going down. No dots here at all. Dot down here, and then you got your dots climbing here, but no dots down here until you get to this area right here, which is still not even at this, you know, lower than this. So constantly basically climbing the whole time. Even this is still higher than this. So continuously going upwards here the whole time. Yeah, I mean, you can just connect them, you know. I mean, you don't have to draw every single one, but you can just take the lowest one to your next lowest one and get a gauge, you know, like what is price action doing? It's going up, right? Even this to this it's going up. Even the low here is going up, you know. So, you know, if it's hard to see all these candles engage, you know, you can just sit there and connect them all and say, okay, well, it's going up in this area. It's all going up. What else? Kind of like a sweep here when you see this box higher than this one right here, but the bodies are still lower right there. It's kind of like saying like this is sweeping the high here, and it's, you know, it's probably dumping, right? Because it didn't go as high as this one did. And you saw the response of that. It went lower on this candle. So what do you think is going to happen when it fails to break this high over here and showing that it's sweeping up here at the same time? It's going to go deeper, right? Twice as deep. And so you'll see it. There you go. A little bit more than triple the move down. And what else? Oops. Try to delete some I'm not supposed to. There. What else? So these moved, they're moving down, right, at an angle. And you see that this free candle here pushed down into this, but couldn't break this low. And now you're getting this push out right here. So kind of like a compression, really. Or you can just look at this one candle here, this one box here. You know, you're going to get a push down, right? So that's your push down here. And then you're going to get a push up and it breaks it here. So clearly that's your guy. And it goes. How else can you read these pain candles? I may explain this up here, but the reason why it went up from here in this area after it pushed down, even though it broke, you know, this low of this candle right here, and why it decided to go up is because it couldn't create a new low after it hit this area. It ended up shooting up. Like this candle didn't close below the wick. It left a wick below this wick right here, but the candle itself closed higher. And so it's the same thing as this move right here. It's the exact same thing. So it'd be fucked up if it didn't do the same, you know, it didn't react the same way. This box closed lower than this box here, but the bars themselves closed here. So basically a minor liquidity sweep here, unable to close lower and also not able to close past this low. So a double, it's just the double fail right here, right? So no reason for it to continue to go down if there's not really any progress to the downside here. So then it runs up and then it does the exact same thing here. So then it runs down because it'd be messed up if it didn't follow the same rule, right? And so potential to the upside here, sweep the high here, but the body stop right here. And so then it ends up dumping here and breaking this low and grabbing liquidity off of all these areas right here. But when you look at the bodies, they still stop pretty much in the same area as that. You know, they don't really break down here to the low side here. The wicks, that long wick right there is telling you that it's soaking up, that these buyers are stepping in right here and they're getting it and this is forcing it down to get these cheaper shares and soak up as much as possible. This volume spike right here is telling you that there's an increase in volume, that there's an interest here and they're buying. This volume spike here is showing you that they're selling off right here in this area. So almost 10 times the volume here, double the volume here. Double the volume short it here, 10 times the volume in order to long it here, or 5 times or whatever to long it here. So, you know, your areas. And that's where you get this liquidity line here. And your greed lines here. All right, so that pretty much sums that up. It's basically, I don't have the same chart on my trading view, but it's basically the exact same setup over there. So anyways, that's it. Hopefully this helps, and thanks for watching again, and this is Wait For It. Happy trading, and I'll see you on the next one. Big mess. Actually, let's do a little bit more here because I do have this playing. All right, so we've been dipping down into this area down here, right? And we're making lower lows here, but our bodies are stopping here. After you have a box that's been going sideways like this, got all these liquidity lines here, and it has been dipping down for quite a bit right there, right? So I want to see where these lines up. So we just hit, this was the lows over there, and so we definitely dipped into this area. So this was the low from back there where we were looking at previously, and you see that this bar here closed underneath, and what happened? It dumped down right? And then look at this, you got two lines here close together, which shows you that it's, I guess, increasingly interesting to break this low, more so than here because it's a single. And then you get another one here after this break. And now you have this cascading down effect, right, that's happening. But look at your highs and look at your lows. The high of your consolidation boxes are pretty close to the same height, like just slight differences right there. And so what does that mean? Like we have expansion going to the downside, but our highs are coming back to the exact same level. Possible distribution there, you know, coming back to the same level and dumping down and going deeper each time, not making new highs, not showing wicks to the upside, no potential to the upside there, decreasing interest, you know, decreasing potential, I guess you can say, gaining or gaining to the downside, I guess you can say. Your pain boxes are getting larger and still not making new highs, making new lows. And so I guess you're potentially in a downside move here until it evens out, right? And so you can say, you can use your measurements, right? This is probably, what, 22 bars or something like that. Tends to like to use that in the first section. Yeah, so that's 20 bars there. So this is your first consolidation area, right? And then we make this move down, and then where do we start going sideways at and holding a level right here? So then we'll say here to here, which is 21 bars. So we've got potentially 9 more bars to see if this is actually going to continue to dump, or is it going to try to start making a move to the upside, you know? I could put on higher time frame liquidity lines down here, but I think we'll be fine. We can just look at it from this point of view. So we got 9 here. I'll leave this one up for measurement. And then we'll say, where's 34? Here. So we'll go from here to here. And then we'll start it from there. This is your low right there. All right, and so if I put this over my consolidation area there, now you can see we've got this downward spiral from here to here. And you can start it from here and show that we're going down like that there. Okay, so we're expanding to the downside, and we haven't really stopped that bleeding yet. This candle here can start showing, like if you look at all these candles, there is no like move to the upside. This was the last kind of like slight move to the upside here, and it's been downward since, right? So change of character would be if this stops, you know, before it hits this low right here, and more of an upside move. And so we'll see if that it gives us that. And that'll be our first clue that we're probably potentially going into like some type of accumulation phase, because this is distribution where we're at. We're in distribution now. And so we'd probably be going into like some type of accumulation, or converting this into accumulation if it does stop short of breaking this low. or closing below this low. Do you have a spike in interest and volume right here at this low right here, showing that there is buyer interest right here, right? And so what we'll do is we'll mark this. Oops. Right there to buyer interest right here. And then there was a huge selling interest back here, which I'm not going to scroll back to look at, but right about right to here. And then if you look at the volume here, volume is slightly higher than the previous candle here as it's coming down. So breaking stop losses and gathering liquidity in this area from this one candle, which isn't a huge amount of liquidity. The only way it would get more is if it was to break this low down here. But maybe it's gotten enough to start. I don't know. We'll see. The volume is higher than it was over here, but not as high as it was over here. Huge downside selling over here in this area. And I can speed this up. I don't have to drag this out forever. Four minutes and 10 seconds left on that candle. Could probably make it to where it's like a minute for a candle or something like that. Should do more than that. All right, so that stopped right at that line, right? There's your liquidity grab for that green candle there. And I think I'll leave it at 30. That should be fine. Like this. So we'll see that it stopped right at that line right there. So now we're saying, okay, well, that was a liquidity grab right here. And now we're switching over into more of like a accumulation phase. And we're probably going to get a retest soon. Our lines are spread out right here. So nothing of interest truly yet. I guess potential to the upside would be like this line right here if it does continue to go up, because that's your liquidity line right there. That's a downside liquidity to the upside right here. This would be grabbing this to probably come down and push deeper. So possible short in this area right here. No boxes over here. I wonder why. What happened to the boxes? Didn't we have? Wait, I'm so confused. What happened to my boxes? Didn't we have boxes? I'm so confused. Why did they suddenly disappear? There. I don't know why they went away. Okay. So I'm going to make this apply. That way I can see inside. We can see the boxes. We got our pane boxes here. Still, why are they disappearing? That is weird. Might be something I have to fix. There's a bug there. No wonder I couldn't see them yesterday. But So you got your boxes going sideways here, expanding. This one's still expanding to the downside here. I wanted to short it here, but I got confused or by the boxes here. But yeah, you're failed to break the high of this box over here, so naturally this would short down. Failing to break the low here is a good sign for a bullish setup here. So probably going to go long here.
Order stop.
Oh Jesus, my stop is so tight and it's so fast. All right, so there. And so we'll see if this holds up or if it actually uses this to dump down. It might use this to dump down to grab more liquidity because it took it all the way up here, right? Manipulate this high. But a trident, which is when you have three prongs with one in the middle that's longer and one that's deeper than the other one over here. And so there's just got to be a space between these candles. So space here, push down, deeper push here, recesses here, pushes down deeper here, recesses here, and then pushes deeper here than the first one. That's the trident. Typically it's a sign that it's bullish, you know, and then on the other side it's the same thing. Like you get a trident where it's deeper in the middle, you know, and then does like a third one that doesn't go as deep as the second one, but deeper than the first one, and that's your guy. All right, so then this line I drew right here was the liquidity line that we drew going across these candles here. We knew that it broke this liquidity line here, so that was going to break this liquidity line here. And then now it broke this liquidity line here. It did the trident and then did the double indecision. And you didn't close below the low of this box right here, right? So we're saying that because it sprung into this area, it's going to launch to try to get back to this high here because this is the test. It's going to do like a retest, right? So that was good for about 40 ticks right there. My stop was really tight, about 40 or 19 ticks, 15 ticks. Pretty aggressive stop. But let's just see, now that we hit this line again, whether it's going to continue to break new highs here. And we just want to see how this candle outcome is. It going to be red dot here? Is it going to be, you know, is it going to come back and push down right here? So you're going to get a red dot there. Let's see if it manipulates the low here as well. It didn't manipulate the low, and it didn't give me a red dot there, which was weird. So here's your retest to the low here. Say manipulation to the low because it didn't close above this red dot. So it's going to be a push back down. You can see how far down this goes. Probably about in this area. It's good. About halfway, maybe into this low of this wick here, or this indecision doji. But it did grab the liquidity here. Green dot there showing it grabbed the liquidity. Possibly a bullish move because it stayed above that trend line right there. Grab this, drag it below the low of this indecision candle. Might not be done yet, but this trend line right here, it did close below it and end up opening on top of it, right? Because it's at an angle slightly below it, I guess. So maybe that was telling me that because it was slightly lower, it's going to go down from here. And that's how you lose your 40 right there. Misreading that. All right, so then it's going to come down and re-push this right here. So we're just going to wait for it to break this. We got double indecisions here that end at the same area. That's highly attractive for a target. So they're going to come and break this to grab this liquidity here. You should start seeing wicks. There it is, the wick. So we're going to get ready to buy. We got a minute and 30 left on this candle. We're just going to go ahead and enter. It might manipulate this low right here. I can go below this wick right here because it still should hold this kind of level like this. Now we want to see it retake the high of this candle. We do have deeper reds here, no greens here yet. I don't see any boxes right in this area. We didn't close below the low of this box again right here. Doesn't mean it won't. It might come down here and push through this just to grab it and then stop in between these two. or just, I mean, really, if it thinks it can't go, just come grab all of this right here. I wouldn't put it past it. I am at my 34 mark. This is my 34th bar here, which is interesting because it didn't close below here. So then final grab of liquidity on these 2 candles here, or 3 candles. It just built a wall right here. It's going to grab this liquidity right there. You should see the volume spike right here probably. 3 candles holding the same level. Highly attractive. Look at it, it just spiked up. It's about to equal. It's not even done. Still got 3 minutes left on this candle. And there you go. Now we're above this candle. I'm going to try to maintain this a little bit better.
Stop.
I'm going to get back in it.
Stop.
Oh my god. Okay. It's so fast. I'm sorry. It's like 30 times the speed. It did come down here and grab this liquidity. It's doing it now. All right, now it turned inside out.
Order filled.
I'm going to try to grab this down here. Turn off this trail. Okay. So now that it's grabbed this liquidity, I want to keep this down here because even though we're up here, we still didn't pass this high. It's most likely going to retrace this candle and see how far down it'll go. If it's bullish like we think it is, because this is still higher than this dot here, right? And this one's is lower than this dot here, but this closed higher than all these candles here. None of these candles closed below this level, right? So not bearish at all right here in this level. It basically it can't close past this level. If it did, it would probably dump. But it's doing that on purpose because it wants to go up. So then here's your pullback, still closed green here. So probably gonna give you a push to the upside. Right there, boom. Now you're breaking this high. Still hadn't broke the high of this candle here, which could be considered bearish if it does close down like this. There you go. There's your wick. It created a double wick here. It's grabbing liquidity right there. Trend line's down to here. Could come all the way down to there. I don't typically like going negative after being positive. That's kind of silly, but I do want to kind of keep my stop below this area here, which is it hasn't been able to pass yet. And I don't think it's so desperate that it needs to come down here yet. I think that it has the potential to go up there, but it's just trying to grab its final liquidity in this area. And then it's going to launch, which might result in like a long wick right here. So want to be prepared for that as well. Let's see. All right, so double indecisions here, flat, bullish move, not as high as this one here. Possible move to the downside here because it didn't pass this high, which means it didn't have enough liquidity. So might want to get out here. It's possible that it can just take off and launch right here. But all of our lines haven't converged yet, and it's showing weakness. Even though it went higher here, it still didn't close above this area yet. And this did slightly close below this area here, but not below this guy over here. So slightly more bearish right here in this section. So a possible push to the downside, grab this liquidity down here would be ideal. Here's our first box, maybe. I just lost my boxes again. I gotta figure that out because that's annoying. I'm gonna move this up so I can grab it faster. Why does it keep going off? Craziness. Oh, wow. There's actually words here too. Dump. Wow. That's cool. Launch up. Wow. It wouldn't work. It never worked before. So I've never seen those it work. So that's interesting. It's so big though. I don't know. I mean, obviously it's this guy and this is this one here and that's that one there where the C lines up, I guess. And where the M first leg lines up here. All right, so we're pushing into this area here. We're getting double indecision. We're sitting on top of this wall that it hasn't been able to close below. We coming back into 99% of this move here. Possibly a move to the upside, but let's wait for our confirmation. Still not able to close in this area, so still bullish here, right? This is our downside trend line, I guess you can say. It's gapped away from this right here, and if it's reversing here above this line, it's showing that it's still more bullish than it is bearish here. So this could come down just to grab liquidity because of that as a final, okay, it's ready basically move. I'm going to grab liquidity that I can, and then I'm going to go back up from here. So now that we've grabbed in between this area, like I said, right here, boom, this is probably a buy right here. And just want to see.
Order filled.
I'll put this below this last green dot over here at 33.99.2. And I got lines everywhere. Sorry. I'm drawing them as I would while I'm trading because it helps me visualize where it should stop and where it should be trying to go to next, right? So I pretty much predicted where it would come down to on all of these moves and where it would go up to. And so this was the liquidity graph. So now if it doesn't have a positive response, it's going to go deeper, right? So this is where I would get in trouble because I didn't wait for the actual positive close. So this is going to go down and get me right here, probably. And that's fine. And we'll wait for that to happen. And then we'll get it when it soaks up. And potentially just could be a continuation to the downside if it closes down here. It got 2 minutes and 32 seconds. If it doesn't soak all the way back up, then it might dump right here, like right there. You probably should sell it.
Order filled.
I should put that over there. Now, this could be hitting liquidity right here and just soak right back up. I don't know. It should, though, because it just broke this area that it couldn't break. It hasn't been down here in 34 candles or whatever, that it should just dump down right here and just keep grabbing more liquidity to get to an area where there's more support. And it might just end up being like right here. This might be where the support is, since there was so much buying right here going on. It's possible that there is a huge amount of buyers in this area right here, but we'll see. What happened to my... Oh, it's the end of the day right there. So we got to wait for the next candle. It's going to be an hour, so let me just speed this up. All right, so I don't like holding overnight like that because it could just immediately go in the other direction, like this right here. But we'll see how it opens up and see how it goes. But if it had been regular daytime, then that would have been a good short right there to catch. And, if you still had time to catch it and not be overnight like this. Now we're at 6 o'clock and, the whole sentiment could change overnight. And people are like, oh, we're in liquidity. We're gonna go up from here now, And so it might erase this whole candle right here. Didn't quite get to the high of this candle, not even a wick. Should try to push down. If it can't push down past the low of this candle, it might end up going back up. So we'll see what's going to happen here. 7 minutes left on this candle. Looks like it's going to be pretty bullish if it unwinds this candle all the way. If it closes red still, then it might continue to go down. Didn't get back to the low of this candle right here, so there's a possibility it could try to go up. I think it tried halfway there and ended up shutting down and grab the rest of this liquidity maybe. Do have a big box here. This is our upside threshold right here still. just so you know. Double bounce right here would stand for a good middle spot of like trying to find a spot to bounce out of for structure for like a bullish sentiment, I guess you can say. Still not closing below this low right here is a solid. So possibly should probably close out this all we can. And so if it's going to use this as its base right here, then we're going to say that this is our structure. And that we're looking to show our potential here, come back and retest how far down we can go, try to go up higher, fail to go higher, come back down, manipulate this low. Then once we manipulate the low, then try to set up to, if it closes back inside this range, set up to go long again. So upside potential probably here. We've got all this right here to go into. You could buy it here, I guess you can say. I don't know. I don't know what its upside potential is from here because it hasn't moved up yet. So I'll probably just be patient and wait. Wicking the 90% of this candle to here. So we're going to say that it's using this threshold as its max high, right? That it's you're being capped and you're consolidating inside this range here. So we'll go ahead and stretch this out further. And as far as the 34 goes, that was right here. I think it was here. So if you think if we pushed into this area here and you hadn't moved past this high right here, then this is the start of your 34, and we're coming up to the end of our 34 here. High side potential, low side potential, double wick here. Wick to the high side here, showing that there's potential more to the upside there. No broken bottom right here, so building liquidity underneath here. This is probably going to showcase how high you can go, if you can go higher or not. And then once it does that, it's probably going to come back and retest this low right here. This is my 34th bar right here, based on this move right here with that manipulation to the downside. It's a little bit weirder structure than the other one. But you have this cap right here, which should probably hold it in this area. It's going to try to want to break even, I guess, to this low right here. Match the high of this guy right here. Hasn't broke it yet. Okay, not breaking the high. That's probably going to be a short. Wait for a wick to see if it's going to go any higher. It didn't test the low yet, so. And that just made a higher wick right there. So pretty bullish right here. I guess I should have longed it right here when it showed the high side potential there, but I wasn't sure how high it would go because you had the cap was right here. So kind of a risky trade because it could have just hit that and bounced off and gone dead short again. But still showing us the high side potential here. If you're patient, just wait. It's probably going to bring us all the way back up into this range. All right, so there's your just closed or just went lower if it closes like that. Nope, going up again. Like I said, it probably brings us all the way back up here. Get the double double resistance or liquidity lines here, bigger liquidity lines here. If it closes above this area right here, then it's a gain, right? If it doesn't, then it says that it needs to go back and grab some more, but it doesn't mean it has to go all the way back down. So stopping short at this area right here, pushing into this area here, could be finding support on this level now, and literally just use this for liquidity grab and probably won't come back to it unless it struggles to get past this area. So box to the upside, pushing down. Okay, liquidity grab doesn't break the low here. And I mean, your potential is up to here. You could long it from there to there. It's closing back above this area here. Look at the wick. Still not closing below this area here. Probably a bigger move. Put upside potential there.
Order filled.
So big liquidity grab here. Candles going down, upside potential on this candle here. The last time we did upside potential there, it ran up like this. So if it had a chance to run up, it would do it here. Upside potential still right here, closed above it. Erase this candle altogether. But it's still closing below the low of this candle here. Tried to push down here. And there you go. Oh, well, getting to the high and just got rejected. So that's going to come down. If it still didn't get past the low of this candle, and I still closed higher, and it closed above this last candle here, so this should go up. No dots on these candles here. That's probably going to break the liquidity here, this line, to grab this liquidity, which means it's probably going to get me because I didn't wait. And your lines are converging here too, so your lines are converging probably in the next two candles, and it's going to push up into this area. It needs to break this high. Pretty much exactly where I'm at. It needs to break that. So I did break it slightly, pushed up into this area here. I don't know if it's going to come back and retest. Okay, so this candle here had high side break and low side break. And then the following candle closed above. It started with low and closed above that candle. So like a reverse orb, basically. So it's like the red candle is the orb on the other side of this green candle, and the green candle is the leading candle that shows it's going up. But it still could come down and manipulate this low here because it didn't close above this guy to grab this liquidity down here. And so I'm going to keep this below the second green candle here where it should have been. I just got auto break even, so it wants to move up. But I want it to see, I want to keep it here until it gets above this area right here. So let's see if it grabs liquidity and stops in between these two, or if it's actually going to come down and grab all the way down here, which is possible because that's the low it made right there. But if you look at it from this point of view, that should be its low. or we should manipulate this to grab liquidity in here. So somewhere between these two, which would be like right here. And then it should be ready to go. Now you'll notice that your orange and your aqua lines here, SMAs, have crossed, which makes it bullish. So you're going to get that final push down to grab liquidity, and then a proper move up and out. Right now it's just been tapping this area right here. 1, 2, 3. Launch up right here. Same. So it's probably going to finish grabbing this liquidity here, and it's probably going to launch up. So let's see if this works. Sometimes you'll get the launch up and it'll still come down one more time to grab that liquidity and then go up. But that was pretty cool that we got to see that live. Yeah, it's funny because I made this indicator last night and it didn't work. It couldn't see anything on the chart. And then today it started working, which is weird. It's weird that I left it on the chart even though it didn't work. And it's weird that it just started working even though I tried using it yesterday for hours. So failed to launch right there. Final grab of liquidity here, pushing down. Just unwinds it here, possibly. Go. Maybe. All right, so I just want to see a breakout above this area. Grabbing liquidity here again. Double wicks there, so I'm going to tap back into that area right there, crack that high, or those double wicks, and see if that was enough to send it. It did get it higher here, but I don't know if it can close above this area. Looks like it's kind of weak. Did close flush with this guy here, so that should give us some potential right here to the upside. Holding the wick here is in a fight right here. You can tell that it's really strong right here, so I might mark this area. And if it does come down, then I'll just go ahead and take my profit here and then get in better position down there. But let's mark this, oops, not that,
Stop build.
this here as a heavy resistance area. I was about to say, it looked like it was trying to break through right there. It'd be funny if it failed and then immediately just broke through, but it just grabbed liquidity underneath here. That might be enough to send it. I want to see it crack it. Yeah. So let's see if it'll come down and grab more liquidity here. We got this indecision candle here. I'd like to see it break that. Get your liquidity line here. It's a potential. If it doesn't, I want to see it crack this candle. There it goes. Just crack the candle there. Now I would be satisfied if it turns green and goes back above this line, but if it doesn't, then I want to see it come down and crack this line here. It's about to close. It's closed down, so potential it could be still to the downside. There you go. I think it's going to come deeper. And then as your box goes, it shows potential to the upside here, but didn't really close up here. And so if it fails to close deeper than this one here, then the potential is still to the upside, and that sends it. And it did crack this area, and there it goes right there.
Order filled.
That's your guy. Oops. Just move this. It's going to say dump right here. Oh no. Oh no. It caught me. They trapped me. Oh no, I should have listened to it.
Order filled.
What is it going to do? Is it going to keep going down from here? I'm going to follow what it says. If it try to, okay, there you go. We'll just let it go. So it failed to go higher than this right here twice, and that sent it. That's funny.
Stop filled.
There you go. That was like a $1,200 trade right there. That was, and I probably wouldn't have caught that without that indicator, because that's processing a lot faster than I can think. It's my logic, but it's just way faster than I can think. So that's 144 ticks. That's pretty good. Now you wrap liquidity down here. It's a beast, right? You need it to solidify. It needs to find its bottom and bounce. It hasn't bounced yet. So anything down here is just guessing. And we can get rid of all this drawings now. Yes. All right. This is saying a launch right here up. I'm going to wait for it to close above this candle and then retest for here. So it did close above. I'm going to see it pull back down. If it fails to pull back past the and close below this green, then we'll get in it. Still 8 minutes left. I like these signals. These signals are pretty legit. So there's it pushing past right there. You got minute 30. Now it's back above it. 2 seconds. Okay, so next candle gaps down. I'm going to put this below my green down here, and I'm going to turn off my trail. And we're going to turn off the break even. Now, unless it's just die hard wants to short here, the candles are saying that it's bullish right here and that it should be going up. So it could be grabbing final liquidity, crack the low of this guy right here, and then send it back up. Even though it did close below this area right here, it's basically a retest rate. So we got this much below this candle. How far high can we get above this candle? If we can't, then it most likely probably will dump. So let's see, 4 minutes and 32 seconds. The low didn't close below this line over here though still. Nothing's closed below this low right here. Like, and it closed higher right here, so it's going to continue to go up. There you go. We're at 51 ticks here. Go ahead and move to a positive situation. It's going to close above this guy right here. Hopefully, 7 minutes. That'll just negate this candle altogether. Like none of this ever existed, because this green candle negated that red candle. This green candle negated these two red candles. This one, if it can close up here, will negate this red one. And it'll be like it was bullish the whole time. Now, it did close slightly lower here, but this candle gapped down and is pushing. So if it can continue to close green here, then you probably got something, but if not, then probably going to come down and retest this to see how far down it can go. The liquidity line's right here, so probably a good place for it. Right there. Another push down, barely closed green above this guy right here, but not above this area still. So another liquidity grab just to make sure. Perfectly tapping into the 34 SMA. And the launch up did work on this one too. Like it took a little, like I said, it came down and grabbed liquidity a couple times before it did. But you see, I didn't try to get in until after it went past this area. Didn't get another dump here, but probably will if it goes up again and fails to break this high. Now this is, you got the double wicks right here, so we wanted to break this. It would be a shame if it came all the way back down, all the way down here. I mean, it's totally possible.
Stop filled.
Okay, so we missed that move, and it's so fast that like obviously I probably wouldn't have sat here for 45 minutes watching it disappear. Probably would have taken my profits up here, honestly. Target would have been up here. It just happened so fast that I'm just playing it out to see what happens. All right, so now we're back to this low right here. Possibly a good spot to try to find support. Got this aggressive trend line here. You already manipulated it here. Finally got this green dot here. Probably going to try to respond to giving you another red dot up here.
Order filled.
So if you're looking to see a risk, I guess your safer bet would have been wait for the red dot to show up within one candle, right? That means you're, 1-to-1 green dot or 2, whatever. I think this is still aggressive. Probably need to expand it to like 20 for this kind of trading. Like it puts me right into danger zone right there. I don't like that. So let's take this off. I want to be behind. Technically, it can come down and manipulate this low right here because you're not passing the high here. Your distance between these two right here is big enough that if you came down and grabbed liquidity right here as a final grab, it would give you enough energy probably to go up as high as you want. So I got no wick to the upside here. Looks like it's failing to get down. Oh, here it comes. Okay, equal to the bottom here. I probably should have been shorting this whole time. Excuse me. It was so aggressive to the upside. Here's that break at this level to grab liquidity. Break this low, grab liquidity in between these two here. If it's bullish at all. If it's not bullish in this area anymore, then it's going to dump. Here's your last low right here. Matching it there. Got 1, 2, 3. So 3 in response to that, 2 in response to that. So slightly more bullish than is bearish, I guess you can say, in response time. But grabbing liquidity here. That should be a red dot right there. And this will be a 1-to-1 right here. So this will be your first 1-to-1 if this closes like this. Yep, first 1-to-1. Boom. Not same candle, but next candle, red dot to green dot. So you might see a pullback here to see how low it'll go and break this low. But it should try to respect this low. If bulls are in control, it should try to respect this low right here. Or it might try to get in between these two because it's still that bull liquidity hasn't been cracked yet. It's potentially, but it still respected it here on this move here. Whether it holds or not, that's a different thing. Could be grabbing the liquidity on this, respecting the move here, but grabs the liquidity here before it takes off and goes. So basically uses this to make the decision whether or not it can go down any further or not. Doesn't, grabs liquidity on the next candle, and then uses that to probably launch it. Probably closes small and then launches it on the next one. Maybe. With another launch right here. So another grab of liquidity here, which could come and crack this. But that was the in-between right there. Could be saving it for last. Just well timing on this launch up this signal for this launch up is crazy. I mean, just perfect timing on this push up. It's exactly what I would expect for when I said it was going to come and grab liquidity in between these two here. Small candle here, did the launch up, grab liquidity again on this guy here in between. I don't think it had enough to move up, so possibly going to crack this low, and I'm going to take a loss right here. But
Stop fill.
Possibly going to set up. If it soaks back up and closes back inside of here, we're probably setting up to launch. If it doesn't close up in here, then we're going to see another dump right here. So let's see where it ends up. We got 3 minutes left. Teetering in this area. Grabs liquidity underneath the candle. Still struggling. Still, it did close up in that area, but it closed lower than all the other candles. So yeah.
Order filled. Stop fill.
I'm too late. Slow. Is it going to soak up? Okay, yeah, it goes soaking back up into zero. I thought for sure it was going to close down there. Closes above this candle.
Order filled.
This is probably going to come back and retest the low of this candle. So pretty far distance right here, but that's what I have to deal with. Should go with that liquidity grab. If that doesn't send it out, I mean, it's just going to dump forever. Wow. Not really getting the move I thought it was going to get. Should have gotten the red dot here. These are spreading apart, and orange is on top of the aqua right now, so technically I should probably be shorting. But let's see how this ends up on this one, and I'll switch gears and get right. It is 30 times faster than normal, so I'm not having the time to like sit here and analyze it like I should. This would be the deeper push right here for your trident. And so you really can't. Oh my. Okay, well there's that. In and out real quick. Like, get in again. Oh my god, I'm not gonna be able to get in and stay in.
Order filled. Stop.
God, that was so fast.
Order stop filled.
Fast.
Order stop filled.
I know it's coming up, but it's just so volatile. And I wish I would have had my stop. I didn't think about fixing it. Let me just fix that. Let's just fix that. How about that? Let's just fix it. It's so insane. All right. So I need at least 22. And then this needs to go probably closer to 30. 31. I just need breathing room. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Let's try that. All right. So let's try this again. We're at 30 times speed, so I'm sorry. That was horrific. I'm so sorry. I was hoping that I could just continue the trade and just move my stop down, but I just don't have time to move it down because it's clearly not going past the low right here.
Order filled.
I'd like to be able to move this. Oh my god, it's still so fast.
Stop filled.
Yeah, it still gets me. That's it. I don't know how far back it pulls back. I mean, that was like 63 ticks. What is this? Okay, this is ridiculous. This is insane right here. This is like 80. 100 ticks. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. So, it should continue to go up here.
Order filled.
If I can get this to come down. I'll leave one trailing.
Stop filled.
Wow. Okay. You know what? I didn't have it down here where I was supposed to, but whatever. I'm going to wait for it to do right. It's obviously very volatile right here. There's no point in being in this. It did close above this box here, so you wait for a pullback because it did test a low. You wait for the pullback, you wait for it to get back past the high here. So I could put a buy limit here.
Order submitted.
If it crosses this area here, then that should be good.
Order filled.
There's my entry. And let's get this down below here. That'll be below the low. It really should probably be down there, but I don't want to have a 100 tick stop. Okay, it's going to get me, so maybe I should. It's just, I guess this price action is just so big that you're going to have to risk that in order to catch the trade. But it really shouldn't. Okay.
Stop filled.
And so my trail is not long enough is the problem. This is so embarrassing because I'm not used to trading something this big, so I don't have this set up that way. Clearly this is not enough. I don't know why I have it set to that either. Let's just bite the bullet and do this. And then let's do as a minimal this. And then we'll do, I don't want to do 100 tick trade. I just don't. I'll go to 34 and we'll do 31, 54, 90. Yes. Okay. Yes. I know this is not long enough still. And so I want to look at why this came down after this. It said dump up here too, didn't it? Because it stopped, it didn't close above this over here. It still didn't close above this and it failed. It wicked above and closed below this, so dump. It was very accurate to dump right here. Still didn't close below this low here. This is saying launch up. We'll see if we can catch this one and be safe.
Order filled.
Looks like a good response there. Let's drag this below this guy right here. Even though this is like just closed down here, just broke the lows of this, really kind of bearish here. It's saying launch up though, so I want to test it and see. Now it could come back and manipulate this low right here, but it should try to hold this level if it does even come back and still try to go back up because it did close inside the high or the low of this wick right here. It still closed right there, even though barely, still did it, which means that it's still kind of inside this, even though it did close underneath this, which is saying it's bearish. I would say in my head that deems it for it to come down and grab liquidity here, but probably not enough for it to crack this low because it's still closed inside this area here. So there should be enough buying pressure to send it up. Barely closed above this area right here. And though, like, we're still really tight. I don't know if I like that. You want to be behind this candle while it's doing its thing. You know, if it stops short of this right here, then yeah, I probably want to grab my profits or something. See, like it stopped short right here. Did show that it could go higher, but didn't. It did pull back here, but it didn't go very far.
Oh, there you are.
Hi.
I haven't seen you all day. I thought you were still asleep.
No, I'm awake. What are you doing?
Watching TV.
Did you get my note?
I
I sent you a text.
Did you what?
I sent